know that I got you on my mind. Secret in my eye. I've been watching you, and I think of you. Art lifts man from his personal life to the universal life. That quote is by Leo Tolstoy. What are the differences between selling out and following trends? I think the answer lies in the fundamental ability to better understand the individual versus the collective. Because both labels can be falsely applied to any social matter, right? We're not just working hard to get financially ahead, people. At the same time, we're also trying to gain social and cultural capital. And also at the same time, we just want to live in the moment. We always get stuck in the argument of, Harlem Shake versus Gangnam Style, Harleys versus Ninja Bikes, Jordans and North Face. What else? What else are we constantly arguing and debating about? Hipsters versus nerds and those in between. Now, cultural appropriation fits in all of this, and it can be a bad and good thing. For example, a lot of the Japanese girls are winning a lot of the Jamaican dance hall battles. Either that's a good thing or a bad thing for a lot of people. I think it's a good thing. It makes the world come together, and the medium of art isn't just exclusive to one race or one cultural group, right? Now, where it can turn bad is if the Japanese girls were to say completely own dance hall and say it didn't come from Jamaica. That's what's similar to the whole Harlem Shake thing, is that the originator isn't given its proper credit, right? That's where it can be bad. We're involved in a marriage with the subcultures and the internet world. A viral video or song can show a pinch of solidarity, but can be quite annoying once it's overdone. Therein lies the problem, ladies and nose pickers. People join movements without really doing research. We need to have a more open dialogue. A world dialogue about individuality, because we actually live for each other. I'm fascinated by individual choices and those choices influenced by the collective. I'm an 80s baby, so there are obviously trends I followed in the late 80s and 90s that I probably don't follow anymore. At that time, it brought about a sense of solidarity, but at the same time, you wanted to find your own route. Now here's where it gets tricky. Deciding which trend to choose from was actually an individual choice. In this paradox, you can't truly escape a system of mind. You can only choose which way to approach life. You will still be categorized, and joining a viral craze doesn't define you. You're simply just living in the moment. Now, we tend to find issues with following trends and selling out in the art world. Selling out is when you compromise your art or yourself to appeal to what's opposed, or cheaply appeal to the masses. It's in many ways seen as an effort to dumb down your aesthetic. You hear the term selling out in regards to interracial relationships. You also hear the term join the bandwagon when one decides to suddenly join the winning team. It really all depends on context. Well, excuse me, why do I have a Miami Heat hat on? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm from Florida. Let me change the hat. I'm sorry about that. Win or lose, baby, we have the best record in the league. I just wanted to insert that right there. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know. So in music, for example, the mainstream is opposed, justifiably and unjustifiably so. Of course, Bob Marley and Bob Dylan captured millions of listeners, but they didn't compromise themselves or their message in order to do so. So, in fact, they escaped criticism for amassing millions of fans, which essentially debunks the notion that underground music is always better music. High art versus low art versus popular culture. Some would argue it's a matter of classism. I think it's okay to diversify your taste. I think it's perfectly fine to blend different perspectives of life. Life is simply complicated, and there are many things we will never know. The unknown will remain the unknown for most of us. People seek purpose. We try to contextualize meaning all the time, and we do so through the art world and through human relations. So don't be ashamed to view the artwork of Jean-Michel Basquiat with his dreadlocks dangling as he paints and paint a beautiful artwork, all the while listening to Sebastian Bach. Don't be ashamed. I don't think that has anything to do with class per se. You just may like that type of stuff. It's when you start judging others for not liking what you like that makes things about class. Also, isn't counterculture still essentially culture? Jazz age, beatniks, death and heavy metal, the hippie movement, conscious hip hop, gangster hip hop, aspects of neo soul. The messages and fashion fits a specific way of life. To use Teju Cole's book as a pastiche, he recently wrote a book called Open City. We're still categorized, and we're still trying our best to gain cultural and social capital to keep up with everyone else, and quite frankly, to keep up with your damn self. Now, in this open city, most societies place an unreasonable pressure on the individual to adhere to a specific ideology, to a specific group. If we aren't placed in one or two categories, we're seen by a lot of people as being too complex or trying to dabble in too many things. If I said I love the authenticity of Nina Simone, the brilliant multiple personalities of Tupac Shakur, the vulnerability of Kendrick Lamar and Kid Cudi, the intelligence of Marilyn Manson and Charlie Parker, the liberating sounds of Buena Vista Social Club, Wyclef, classical music, and at the same time, get crunk to Juicy J. Dance make her dance. Bands make her dance. Want some tea? We are still categorized, and we are competitive consumers, and at times we are actually commodity, vying for status and acceptance in our respective markets. Face it, we're dealing with horrible consumption habits in a capitalistic society with plutocratic elements. What is plutocracy, you ask? Well, we are essentially ruled by people with money and power, so that obviously has some say in what we see as good and bad. Fine art versus popular art versus underground art, don't they all have a purpose? Honestly, oversaturation and the lack of diversity are what's haunting us. That's probably why a lot of people hate radio or dislike radio, because we're oversaturated. We want better quality of content. You won't eat ramen noodles every day. You want to diversify your eating habits. In this case, you want to diversify your mental eating habits. With the exception of alternative news outlets or YouTube vloggers, we don't have an easily identifiable outlet to talk about how society is shaping us. We just get oversaturated reports of things happening and not how it's shaping us or not shaping us. I think it's good to live in a moment so long as you're figuring out alternative ways to swallow information, whether you're watching RSA videos or TED Talks, Vice magazine, whether you're talking to that old guy in the front porch, you know, that OG spitting game to you. As long as you're finding conscious content to feed your mind, it's definitely okay to live in the moment. So for me, I go to work, I read different articles, I put on podcasts like NPR, listen to like All Things Considered, click on the Art in Life, anything to keep me moving on in terms of trying to figure out how the world works. And I know I will never truly know how the world works, but at least I'm trying. So I appreciate everything we've created, the horribly bad and the tastefully good. There exists the ugly means to an end. I don't know, resources, possessions, the hierarchy of taste sort of forces us to fit into the fashionable matrix. And I love and hate it, but I also know that somewhere, someone is profiting off your revolt. So while you're trying to be unique, someone is getting paid off what you're purchasing to maintain your uniqueness. For example, I can tell someone who loves reggae, I can just tell by the attire. They purchase everything to make themselves stand out for the reggae culture or whatnot. I don't know, I just try to live good. I went to Whole Foods back in the States. I bought some good lotion. I walked out feeling great and healthy. But then I realized how much good is costly, man. Searching for alternative news, you're burning energy looking for it because it's not readily available, and we only wish it was. And that's probably what's making everyone so frustrated with society as a whole, is that we don't have an easily available outlet to really search deep within, an introspective take, also an outrospective take on our present, past, and future. Conforming isn't always a bad thing. It has, throughout the years, has taken a considerable bad connotation. We conform by simply wearing clothes, by following civilized public discourse. There is still a universal mechanism that guides us. We want humanity to progress, to prosper, to move on. Not everyone is a rebel or overtly seeking originality. Some people want to be themselves and be free amongst the crowd. No matter how bad you try to resist it, we as a people learn from each other, despite how negative we can get. I recently wrote an article called Can Outrospection Save the World? On my website, The Vanguard Element. It's based off a presentation by an animated presentation given by the philosopher. His name is Roman. I can't pronounce his last name. I don't want to butcher it, so I'm just gonna spell it K-R-Z-N-A-R-I-C. I'm not even gonna try it. Anyways, check out the article, and don't forget to subscribe to this video and share this video. One love, peace, and be free. Yeah. Mwah.